I'd like to begin by reiterating both USCIRF support and my personal support for religious minorities across sub-Saharan Africa. In our 2023 annual report, USCIRF specifically made CPC or special watch list recommendations based on religious freedom conditions in 3 countries in sub-Saharan Africa: Nigeria, Central African Republic, and Eritrea. Of these 3, the most relevant to our discussion today is Nigeria, the largest country in Africa with over 200 million people, and a country that borders Niger to the south. Christian Nigerians are also subject to similar violent attacks by Muslim insurgents as religious minorities are in Mali and Niger, and to a lesser extent in Sudan. A recent report documents that 52,000 Christians and 34,000 Muslims have been killed in the last 12 years, and we give the Nigerian government massive foreign aid. In 2023, USCIRF recommended the State Department designate Nigeria as a CPC for engaging in systematic, ongoing, and egregious violations of religious freedom, as it has recommended every year since 2009. We also recommended that the State Department redesignate Boko Haram and the Islamic State West African Province, or ISWAP, as EPCs. USCIRF also strongly recommends appointing a special envoy for Nigeria and the Lake Chad Basin to maximize the U.S. diplomatic efforts to address religious freedom violations and atrocity risk in the region. This would be similar to the very effective work done by former Senator John Danforth, who was special envoy to Sudan, successfully brokered peace between North and South Sudan. The Sahel countries of Mali and Niger have a very similar EPCs operating in their territories, and perhaps all those entities are indirectly connected or even work together. And hopefully our panelists can help explain that. In 2023, the Nigerian federal government accelerated efforts to address violence impacting religious freedom, including institutionalizing harsher punishments against perpetrators, improving military effort to neutralize Islamic fighters in the north, and strengthening efforts to investigate and arrest perpetrators of the most egregious attacks. In my estimation, these efforts have failed, and I see nearly daily reports of continuing attacks and deaths. In some regions, state and local officials fail to prosecute individuals who incite mob violence. Critically, security and judicial reforms aimed at deterring and providing redress for religious violence remain stagnant, with no seeming change under the new presidential administration. The Nigerian government's human rights record continues to be poor, with reports emerging of a decades-long forced abortion campaign facilitated by the Nigerian military against rescued abductees of Boko Haram. USCIRF has recommended the U.S. government diplomatically, financially, and administratively support Nigerian civil society organizations to coordinate a national dialogue on implementing United Nations Human Rights Council Resolution 1618 and promote religious freedom and tolerance while safeguarding freedom of expression. USCIRF also recommended that Congress revitalize the bipartisan Nigeria caucus to place greater focus on security, atrocity risk, human rights, and religious freedom challenges to Nigeria. We urge the Congress to ask the Government Accounting Office to investigate the effectiveness of U.S. assistance to Nigeria. Each of these recommendations respond to the Nigerian government's role in the persecution of religious minorities, or the lack of response in allowing the persecution of religious communities. We are closely monitoring how local and federal authorities in Nigeria are responding to the frequency of religious freedom violations, and we're just as concerned about similar violations in Mali and Niger. All this shows how necessary it is for the State Department to redesignate Nigeria as a CPC and to appoint a special envoy for the region. As the largest country in Africa, it is said, so goes Nigeria, so goes West Africa. The State Department needs to act to help the people of Nigeria. Thank you.